Welcome back. So, the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins renewed their rivalry today, and this felt like a must win for the Penguins. Think about this. If you lose in regulation to the Capitals today as Pittsburgh, you are now 6 points behind a divisional rival. You're going to have to play 7 more times. The math tells you these games are all important, and so the intensity level is going to ramp up as the season goes along. Now, the first thing to take note of for Pittsburgh today, other than a better result, is both Matheson and Ceci were healthy scratches. So Jim Rutherford went out and tried to revamp the defense, and Ruedel and Ricola were in the lineup today, and Matheson and Ceci weren't. So it's kind of the same defense they had last year. Rodriguez scores from Dumoulin at 19 seconds. Crazy fast goal, reminded me of the Minnesota LA game last night. And so Pittsburgh gets off to that fast start that they needed. Remember, they lost back-to-back games against Philadelphia. Could not afford to lose this one, too. Tanev was hit by a puck, but he was okay. Lots of early whistles. This was a choppy game for the first, I'll say, 5 minutes, where there was a lot of icings and whistles back and forth. Keep in mind, both of these teams probably pretty tired because the games are all kind of squashed together. This is how the schedule is this year. Every team in the NHL will be dealing with this equally. Jensen then guilty of a trip. The Penguins go to the power play. They were 2 for 8 on the season coming into this game. Samsonov stopped a chance from Rust. Chara had some point shots that were stopped by DeSmith. I think Zdeno Chara has played well for the Caps so far. I think he's been prominent in a good way and proves that, yeah, he had a reason to want to go to Washington and have that chance that he wasn't going to get in Boston. The Caps pressed at 9 minutes. They would eventually get a goal. It would be Dowd with a goal at 12:04 that barely crossed the line. But instant replay goals are going to be a thing for this game. So that one barely crossed the line, but it did cross, and it's a goal. So Nick Dowd with a goal. Momentum had shifted towards the Caps at this point. The Penguins would press with about 6 minutes left, but Tom Wilson breaks that up. And then Tom Wilson gets it to Kuznetsov, gets it to Ovechkin, and at 14:24, Ovechkin gets his first of the season. That's number 707 overall. So the chase continues, and for Ovechkin, nice to see him get his first of the year in their third game. Capitals then get a power play. Their power play, only 2 opportunities on the power play coming into today's game. They had scored 1 goal on those 2 opportunities. Today, the power play, not too shabby. Then there was a 2-on-1. Ovi passes it to Oshie in the last minute. DeSmith saved that. So it's 2-1 for Washington after 1. Second period, John Forsland early gets the best call I have heard so far this season. So I had to put it on the board. They were talking about Richard Panik. Said it was pronounced panic until a few years ago. And he said it was panic until he went to the disco. And now it's panic. So John Forsland has the call of the year thus far. Samsonov then guilty of a giveaway. Sevier, and this is interesting, it looked like it hit the crossbar. So on the ice, Sevier celebrates. It's a goal. They go to the replay. To me, it looked like it hit the crossbar. The replays they showed, it looked like the crossbar. But it hits the camera holder, the white item inside the net, and it bounces down off of it and onto the blue ice in front of the goal line. So it looked from certain angles like it had hit the crossbar and then come out. But it actually goes into the net and comes back out. So the replay took a while Colton Sevier is sitting on the bench for the Penguins and saying, it's a goal that was in the net. It's a goal. It's a goal. Like, he couldn't understand why they were doing the instant replay for as long as they did. But again, it was tough to find a camera angle that showed for sure that puck went in the net. And even that one, it was just basically that because the camera holder shakes a bit, you could tell it got struck by the puck, which can only happen if the puck's in the net. So it was a stealth goal, but it counts. And Teddy Bluger with the assist. So that's the Shannon goal of the game, where 2 players that I like end up combining for a goal. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. It's a tie game. Jensen was then playing without a stick. He was also on a long shift, well over a minute and a half. And Brendan Dillon ends up taking a penalty. So the Penguins end up going to a power play coming out of that. During that penalty kill, really solid work by Nick Dowd. So Dowd had a very good game with the goal, with the penalty kill work as well. The Capitals then get a power play. Oshie then turns it into a 4-on-4, 15 seconds later. And then Crosby takes a penalty as well to give you 1 minute and 15 seconds of 4-on-3. DeSmith denied Ovechkin, but on the power play, it's Backstrom from Kuznetsov and Ovechkin at 10 minutes and 9 seconds. So the Capitals have restored their lead in a game that kept having these tremendous momentum shifts one way or the other. But that momentum shifts again. Pettersson scores from Zucker and Rust at 12:57. So we're in a 3-3 tie. The Penguins then had a 2-on-1 during which Jankowski was denied. Again, Mark Jankowski is playing much better for the Penguins so far this season than he did for Calgary last year. Clearly needed that change of scenery. The Penguins pressed with 3 minutes left. Gensel ends up hitting the post with 35 seconds left. And then the Penguins get a power play with 20 seconds left. So Pittsburgh had an excellent second period. Though they allow a goal, they did score 2, and it's 3-3 entering the third. And the momentum would tell you Pittsburgh has a good chance of winning it. In the third period, Jankowski had a break that was defended by Panik. The Penguins end up with another power play. And then after that expired, they end up getting called for too many men on the ice. And the Capitals get a power play out of that. Ovechkin ends up hitting the post during that power play. So Ovechkin a post away from goal number 708. Much tighter play by both teams in the third period. I thought this was a game that right from the start of that third period, you could kind of feel like they were trying to make sure that they didn't make that mistake. And both teams playing very well defensively, and you kind of got the feeling that we could see some extra time in this. Solid game as well by Tom Wilson. Can't say enough about how well Tom Wilson played in this. In fact, he was pushing so hard to get the puck into the Pittsburgh zone that it just knocked Crosby's stick out of his hand and caused it to go flying. So Wilson had a very good game. He did end up taking a penalty during this game, but Wilson's game, the way he plays, he's going to take penalties here and there. But the offense, and he does manage to get an assist in this game, I thought he played a very good game. So Wilson's solid, and again, I know there's people who hate him for some of the stuff he was doing a couple of years ago, and for stuff that they can find in recent activity as well, but he generally plays a very solid, traditional power forward game, and I didn't see anything today that I thought crossed the line. Last minute, there's pressure by the Penguins, but they were unable to put the puck in the net. Samsonov, shaky at times today, but in the end, pretty good game for him. So we go to overtime, which surprises probably nobody. Ovechkin ends up playing a 2-minute shift in that overtime. The thing that surprised me with that was they kept passing it to him. And you could tell he was exhausted. You could almost see him wanting to yell at them, just get the puck out of the zone so I can go off the ice. He does leave. He'd come back later. He does come back and finish out the overtime as well. Malkin had a steal in this game. And he had a break, and then he shot it wide. And he had some opportunities. Malkin, through the first 3 games, has been held off the score sheet for Pittsburgh and has been really quiet outside of that. Like, it's not like he's generating a ton of opportunities. The announcers even talked during this game at one point about how quiet Malkin was and how they hadn't said his name much at all. And so he's off to a rough start. We'll see how he recovers, and we know he will. So we get to the shootout, and some highlight reel saves by the goaltenders before. Jake Gensel, he scores the winner during, I believe it was round 4 of the overtime where Jake Gensel gets the winner. Ovechkin was the answer from the Capitals. He was unable to get the goal. So the Penguins win it in a shootout 4-3. The shots were 12-8 Washington in the first, 11-3 Pittsburgh in the second, 7-6 Washington in the third. In the overtime, Pittsburgh gets all 3 shots. The final shot's 28-22 in favor of the Penguins. Power plays, Washington 1 for 4, Pittsburgh 0 for 5. Samsonov saves 25 out of 28, and DeSmith saved 19 out of 22. Pittsburgh does have a bit of a goaltending issue. I thought DeSmith was better in this game than we saw with Jari in the first couple, but at some point, Pittsburgh needs to see more out of these goaltenders. It's DeSmith's net, though, in my eyes, if he wants it. If they play him again in the next game and he plays well, he could end up getting the lion's share of starts. And, of course, for Jari, he really needs to have a good game in his next opportunity because it is a short season. It's a very compact schedule. And it's already to a stage where Pittsburgh's got to be looking at their goaltending and their blue line at some level and saying, so we might need to make some changes. And yet, of course, there are rumors that they're in on Jack Roslovic, and what could they offer up for Jack Roslovic? We'll see. We know that Winnipeg's looking for defensemen. I don't know that either Ceci or Matheson would necessarily get that done. I wouldn't think so. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you browse your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.